What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Bold
Hello.
Moves on the Property Sisters Network. We are here virtually today for the first time with a very special guest.
Yes.
That me and Christy are actually super excited to get to know you and hear your story. Like for the first time, actually, this is somebody that we don't personally know.
Yeah.
Kind of, we're acquainted, and we'll get into how. But Christy, I will let you introduce our very special guest for the day.
Yes. Yeah, we're super excited for you guys. We have a great show. And so this is Cory Williams, and he is with Cory and Company, Blue Pebble Homes out of Lakewood, Colorado. Welcome. Thank you so
Cory.
much for being
Thanks
here
for
with us.
having me.
Yes, we're super excited. So we know Cory from, we all coach with the same coach, Austin Cheviron, who you guys have heard us talk about plenty of times on the duration of our show.
All the time.
It's so funny.
It's sad.
So Austin had Gogo Bethke, who is someone else you guys should also Google. She did a takeover of one of our sessions a couple weeks back. And so there was a pretty big accountability piece that she covered. So CPR, that would be commitment, penalty, and reward. And so that is what brings us to Cory being here today. So Cory, I'll give you the floor and let you tell us a little bit about that.
About how you got here.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Thank you for having me. This is so much fun. We've already had a blast and,
Yeah.
we're just getting started. So super excited. When you're looking at accountability and things that you want to invest your time in as any entrepreneur, especially in the real estate profession, you need to make sure that you have alignment with your goals. And we were just talking about sort of authentic content and sort of this concept and thought process of like, I'm holding the camera in front of my face and, having to produce content versus this conversational style. And so one of my big goals was to get on more podcasts with other amazing people so we can have awesome conversations.
Amazing. Yes. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. And we can have awesome conversations, and really the authenticity comes out through those conversations, and using that as a method of content creation. And so Gogo's like, who wants to be bold on this call, and of course, leave it to me. Go ahead and raise it. So then she says CPR, right? CPR.
Yep.
And what's your commitment? What's the penalty? And then the reward. And so I said, you know what? I've had this list of top podcasts, real estate podcasts, and entrepreneur podcasts that I want to be on. And I just haven't pulled the trigger. And she's like, that's it.
Yeah.
So she said, there's a day of the week that I was, every week, Gogo said every week I would get on these podcasts, and it was X day at X time. I said, okay. She said, what's your day and time? Thursday at 3:00. And so it's like, okay, here we go. Let's make this happen. Yes. And so she said, all right, penalty. And I said, well, I like to eat, physique. You can look at my physique. I'm a man that likes to eat, right? And so she said, well, I don't really want to starve you. So what's something you don't like to eat? And I was force-fed beets as a child, okay? I did not need to be force-fed anything, okay? But it was this little after-school program, and they made you eat all the beets. And so I'm adverse to them, I'd rather eat dirt. I'd rather eat dirt.
Deep with the beets. Okay.
Okay. So goat cheese, she said, okay, that's it. If you don't do this and keep your commitment, and everybody on this call, probably 75 people are here to make sure you're accountable to this. You got to eat nothing but beets and goat cheese for a week. Okay. And so I'm like, no, that's not going to happen.
A nightmare.
So, booked that first week. Here we are again. And then I'm booked out for another month. And then, let me just go ahead and let's get a couple months worth of getting this done and knocking it out of the park before I go in for my reward, my 2-hour massage. So
Nice.
all in good.
I love that.
So that's how we're here today. It's been a goal of mine just from a connectivity standpoint. I'm having so many conversations lately about the connectivity of this world and what has changed since COVID and how we interact with our clients. And I run a couple other businesses. They're B2B businesses, and B2C businesses, business to consumer businesses, is so much different because it's like, how do we meet people in their space?
Yes.
And it's this concept of ego versus eco. I feel like there's so much ego in our industry, in the real estate industry. Everybody's posting about, we did this much, these many transactions, and we sold this and we did that, and my production. And it's this thing where we want to gain credibility, but people are like, I don't care. How can you help me?
Exactly.
Right? How do we create this eco environment? So that's where I just love these conversations, for us to be able to mastermind, for us to be able to, talk about ways in which we can make a bigger impact and truly bring value to our clients and to our industry, as a whole.
I totally agree. I love that. And honestly, like, that's something we, how we ended up doing this podcast too. We're like, everyone's doing kind of the same sort of thing, and the posting and the how many homes and transactional stuff. And it's like, we want that, like, that genuine, like, this is who we are, sisters, like, we're in business together, and like, just to give everybody that backstory too. And like, same thing with you, like, this is who I am. And I think that's so cool that we can have these conversations. And I'm glad you're not eating beets and goat cheese for at least for another week anyway. So kudos to you. But for us to be able to have this conversation, and for that to have opened up this door, I think is amazing. And I think it makes, like, this world that we live in even that much more interesting, like our little real estate bubble, if you will. You know what I mean? Like,
for sure.
Like, the random stuff that can come out of these coaching calls and these conversations, I think is so fabulous. I really do.
Yeah.
No,
I love
100%.
Yeah.
I think, just to your point, having started, because I don't know how long you've been coaching with Austin, but for us, it's only been maybe a year now.
Yeah, I think we're just coming up on a year. We've known him for a few years, but to have actually been
being in Cheviron Live, it's only been about a year. So
about there.
Okay.
Same for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But I think
I was doing a keynote speech, and it was the most nervous I've ever been. We were talking a little bit about this. It was the most nervous I've ever been. As far as I'm concerned, I totally bombed everything, right? And Austin and his team were the MCs, and they nailed it. I mean, Austin.
Yeah.
Nobody
he brings it for sure.
Nobody's as prepared as that guy. Okay.
No.
And so he was so prepared, so on it, and I complimented him, and his team on just what an amazing job they did. And he said, do you want some feedback on your speech? And I was like, yes. And so, talk about a bold move, right? Yeah. He's just so confident, right? In what he does, and so grounded and just so foundational. And he gave me some of the most incredible feedback. And I went back, he had a booth there, and I went back and he showed me all about his coaching program, and he started talking about run rest cycles. And I was like, what's
that?
What are you talking about? I've been burnt out so many times in a decade, right, of this business. Yeah. And so that was the start of an amazing relationship. And every year I do my best to get in the right rooms, right? To level up. Not for any other reason that like that's how I'm wired. I want to be more aligned and with people that see eye to eye and learn great ways to impact our industry, and most importantly, just one client at a time. How can we do something that really puts them in a great position to have an unbelievable experience?
Yes.
And so that was how that all started with Austin and his team.
Where was
And
that? I know you're in Colorado and he's in Indiana. Where was the?
it was in Indiana, so I'm an Indiana boy. I'm from Greencastle,
Oh,
Indiana.
All
Oh, wow.
right. How fun.
Yeah, talk about a bold move. Okay,
Yeah.
I've got a couple that resonate. I went to DePaul University in Greencastle, Indiana. And, in 2001, 2 weeks after I graduated, I packed up my car and drove to Colorado.
No way.
For any
Okay.
reason or just because
That's
you wanted to go?
amazing.
That was it. I went out my freshman year and I said, that's where I'm moving. And, my mom kind of fought me tooth and nail for 4 years. And so whatever fit in my car came, whatever didn't. And the rest is history, right?
That's amazing.
And so I kind of just I went through customer service, and then I was in a cubicle and I'm like, I'm going to lose my mind. Right.
Sure.
And somebody approached me and said, hey, do you want to be a helper to an installer to install stone countertops? And I'm like, is there an opportunity for sales? And they said, yes, down the road. And I said, yes, I'm out. Okay. That got me into the construction world, where I worked my way through, being a sales rep and a sales manager and coaching and training people on my product and managing Home Depots and Lowe's and Costco's.
Just building all the skills.
I kept working for all these egos. Okay. And I said, there's got to be a better way. I'm working my tail off and I'm really putting all these people in a great position to be successful. When can I look at putting myself and my family in a position to be successful?
Wow.
And so I started nights and weekends studying real estate. Okay. And getting my coursework done and things like that.
Yeah.
And here's bold move number 2.
I love this.
Keep them going. Let's go.
My boss kind of pops off at me one day in a meeting, right? And I said, I told myself and my wife, I said, if he does that to me, I'm moving on, right? I'm going to take that as a sign, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so he kind of popped off one day, and I went into my office and I called my wife and I said, well, today's the day I'm quitting. And she said, good. And so I grabbed a box, put all my stuff in it, and I had my first deal under contract before I even had my license.
Amazing.
So it was like, run it under the broker. Like it all happened that fast.
It's God's work, man.
Yeah. And I love that you had her support too. That's the best.
Yes.
And that's it, right? Those are the factors: God and a supportive spouse, right? And
it will take you so far.
Man. And so it is like, she keeps the wheels on the bus. She calls me the tornado, and it's true. Okay. So I'm always off and, doing something, but it's what we love. And it's our way of making an impact, right? We sacrifice so much in this industry.
We do.
Oh, yeah. And it seems like everything is like just done the drop of a hat, simple as pie, but it's all of this behind the scenes that that lead, now the education part, the training, the coaching, the people skill, everything that leads up to it and builds that to provide such a seamless transaction for our clients. Like that doesn't just come naturally. I'm sure it does for some people, but whatever, kudos to you. But a lot of it is, that constant building of that skill set. And I think that's huge testament to you and all the things that you've been working on and navigated through to get there to that point. And then for your wife to say, yes, go fly. Like, I love that for you guys. That's wonderful.
I agree.
That really is.
It is amazing. I just have a quick question. Did you, when you said you started, you just said nights and weekends, I'm going to focus on real estate. Was it just like something that you always wanted to do? Or did you kind of like hear from somebody like you should be a realtor and start your own company? Or what made you think of real estate as your way out of that, corporate life?
Excellent question. So I grew up remodeling houses. Now, if you ask my dad and my brother, they would say I was a supervisor. Okay. They were the ones doing the work, and I was the world's best supervisor.
What to do? Hold on, let me jump in here really quick. Where do you fall in your siblings?
I'm the oldest of two. So,
okay. Yep. Just curious. Carry on.
My brother's like a little less than 2 years younger than me.
All right.
And we were thick as thieves, and so yeah, it's just one of those things where you grow up around remodeling houses, and how do you gain equity? And we would just my dad was so handy, and we learned so much about how you can buy a broken down house and invest time and resources in it and make a lot of sacrifices and put yourself in a really great position to be successful financially with that. And it helped us to upgrade and things like that. So I grew up with that. That being said, my dad was kind of one of those guys that's like, get a job, play the game, right?
Yeah.
And get your company card.
Yeah. Comfortable.
Retirement, pension, right? There's the P word that doesn't exist anymore. All that kind of stuff, right? And taught me a great work ethic. And so when I sort of transitioned from the cubicle, like we were talking about earlier, into construction, it started in that stone industry. It actually ended there as well. However, in the middle was, this remodel, like kitchens, baths, pop tops, put additions on. And I actually had my own carpentry company. So, I was installing cabinetry, doors, trim, things like that. And so, and then I became sort of a senior project manager. So I knew houses. I knew electrical systems. I knew plumbing systems, drainage, roofs, doors, floors, countertops, cabinets, you name it. I know about how to take care of it, maintain it, clean it, refinish it, what materials are better than others. So I knew homes inside and out.
For sure.
So that was, I was like, what do I know the most about?
Yeah.
Where is my area of expertise? How can I actually make an impact in this world? And it was clear that it needed to be in the homes industry. And then I said, you know what? In construction, you work with a lot of non-professionals.
Yeah.
And so what I saw was that with real estate, you worked in the home industry, but with many more professionals. And that is where I wanted to position myself. And so I've always kind of been the face, or as some have called me, the mouth of organizations.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now I'm the beard of organizations, but
Perfect.
At one point I was the mouth. In other words, I was sort of out and about in the community representing the company. And I was the emotion manager of the company. Hey, Cory, we've got an irate customer on line 3, mental massage line 3. So it was kind of,
that's
right,
great.
that type of thing. We need a mental massage. So I was the guy that walked people off the cliff, right?
Wow.
Totally. I could totally
And
see
so I had built this amazing network, being in the construction industry with different, different positions that I held with different companies. And there was a guy in one of my networking groups, Michael Beninati, and, I just liked, he was the real estate professional in our group. And I just liked, what he brought to the group, the energy that he had. It sounded like he was part of a really great organization. He was at Coldwell Banker, one of the, best known real estate companies, in the world. And so I just went to him one day and I said, this might sound kind of odd, but like, I'm working nights and weekends to get my license. Would there be an opportunity with your team? And he said, yeah, I'll bring in, introduce you to some of my business partners, tell you what we're all about. And so that was kind of it. I'll never forget the day I called him and said, well, I quit today. I'm ready to get started. He's like, all right, let's go.
I love that. Already
That's
had your foot in the
incredible.
door. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing.
I
What
feel
a
like-
connection.
I feel like real estate was just made for you though.
Mhm.
Like when you grow up in it, like I've heard other stories like that. And I'm like, man, I wish I could have grown up in it. I grew up in the cell phone stores with my family, just learning. Well, I guess the technology piece has helped me, as we know, since
Yeah.
before the show.
Yeah.
We can talk about that another time. But what a cool way to jump into real estate, having such an extensive background of all the nitty gritty stuff in real estate that we
Yeah.
actually see and go through on a daily basis. And not only that we go through, that our clients are going through.
Right.
So if it needs a roof or it needs windows or it needs something, you're not an inspector. And I walk through houses all the time. Like, it's kind of like a, here's this, this, and this, but I'm no expert type deal, because I don't know the age of a roof, right? I'm going to let the inspector get up there and do their job. If it looks like it's falling through, I mean, I'm not like, oblivious
It's not
to
rocket
that.
science, right?
Right.
Exactly.
But, I can't sit here and tell you, oh, it's probably about XYZ years old. But you, on the other hand, you can probably gauge, all this stuff that's in a house for your
solid
people.
remodeling tickets if needed,
Yeah.
just like all those ins and outs, stuff that we've even like gone to trainings on, just like basic home care inspection stuff, like, those little details that like at least will get them off the fence for a little bit of, do a little bit of research, not like, let's get the hell out of here,
Yeah.
like type of thing. Whereas, you know what I mean? Like, where you, like you were saying, can just kind of engage a little bit more on these conversations and keep them level-headed because you had that experience firsthand, and that's so cool. Like,
yeah, just being
I love that.
confident in
Yeah.
that. You're just way more confident in that aspect.
You got it. And that's all we do as real estate professionals is build confidence, right? That's our role.
Yeah.
Right. That's our role, is to build confidence. And sometimes we have to manage emotions. When I started in the business, that's why people would reach out to me. We know the statistic. Everybody knows 12 real estate professionals.
Yep.
Right?
At least.
At least. Okay. And so how do you stay top of mind? How do you provide value without constantly soliciting?
Yes.
Right. For those of us that are building a business, all of us in the Cheviron Coaching program, well, for the most part, we're working with people that are repeat and referrals.
Yeah.
Right. We want to work with people that know us, like us, and trust us.
Yeah.
And so it's this constant evolvement. However, in the beginning, people would be like, hey, I know you know a lot about homes. And I'm like, y'all, hey, I don't ever play inspector. However, if we're kind of going back and forth between this place and this place, and we know, this one has a new roof and the furnace has been updated and it had, a newer electrical panel. versus the one that doesn't. It's like those are the checks nobody likes to write, right? Everybody wants to write the check for their new kitchen, but nobody wants to write the check for a new roof. It's just, or the furnace, for God's sakes, right? Like it's downstairs in the corner behind a door, and it just cost me $13,000. So helping clients go through that. And then what I've found is it's interesting, right? Because we evolve. If we don't, we're gone. And we see that a lot in this industry. We evolve. And now it's more of, explaining those different nuances at the end of an inspection. Hey, we all know the roller coaster of a transaction, right? We love the house. We can't believe it's so amazing. It's so great. We finally got a house. It's been so long. Now the inspection, and then it's like, boing.
Never mind.
Oh my gosh. Now what? Okay. We just found out it's not brand new. We thought everything was going to be brand new. So walking through that, coaching clients through that, putting things in context. And then you touched on this, leveraging resources. Mm-hmm. You know what? Let's get a roofer out here and get a second opinion on that.
Exactly.
Hey, let's get an HVAC professional. Let's get an electrician out here. And so having all those contacts from the construction industry, what I call the A-team, has been critical in the success. So sort of realizing your value as you mature in this business, and the services and the way that you coach your clients through a transaction. So it's been a fun ride.
Oh, for sure.
It's definitely a lot of growth. Like, I feel like I don't know about any other industry because I've never been in any other industry, but I know in real estate, all of us realtors, we're constantly doing these trainings and things and collaborating with other agents and things of that nature because we're just constantly growing. And it doesn't matter how long you've been in the business. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter if you grew up, fixing houses or remodeling houses, or if you grew up in the cell phone and customer service industry, whatever it is, we're always just constantly evolving and using our resources and growing and making mistakes and learning, through whatever it is that we screwed up on and all of that. And it's such a fun thing to do. And we meet incredible people all day, every day.
Yes. This is no exception.
Yeah. This here being an example. I mean, us having a podcast is like, before you jumped on, I was like checking everything and I'm like, we have a podcast, we have a podcast. And it's just like, it's such a fun thing to do, to connect and things of that nature. But just curious, I mean, as you've gone through, I mean, how long has it been since you've been in the business? Has it been
right at a decade now? Right at a decade.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm sure in those 10 years, maybe you've jumped through some hoops or learned a lesson or two. Is there anything that sticks out to you that you're like, damn, this was like a huge lesson for me? I think that's a yes.
Oh my goodness. Where do we get started? It's interesting, right? Because so many things have changed in a decade. So I'll talk about one that we were kind of penciling out today. And, it's the connectivity of this world. And it has changed several times while being in this industry. And, COVID happened in the past 10 years. That changed everything. And we're still seeing the impact that had on people's social lives and how we interact together. And so, I would say that when I started, the sort of old school, making phone calls, connecting with people, being a constant resource, was a great way to sort of connect with people. Then we literally couldn't interact face to face. So all we had was digital connection for some time. And now it's almost like that went so haywire, right? I get over 200 emails a day. We've got robocalls, people calling and you pick up and they hang up, and it's like
madness out here.
And you get text messages of insurance and scams for parking tickets and tollways, and you're like, what in the world is happening? And so now when you send a text message to someone or call someone to connect, it's just different because they're getting inundated with this stuff. And so so I have been, the word that came to mind was forced, right? You're forced to change, to meet people in the space that they're in. And, for those of us, all of us on this call, certainly, like, there's agents that are in this business that aren't in it with a heart-led, service-led mentality. Okay. Yep. You're going to find that in any business. However, when you lead with your heart, it's also easy to sort of get that, hurt. Get your heart hurt.
Broken. Oh yeah.
Right? Get your heart broken.
Yeah.
And so as much as you try, and it's like, okay, how do I meet people in the space that they're in and truly bring value? So the biggest change that, I've had to make is communication tactics, because, I was looking earlier this year, as I really started engaging heavily, and you can't see right now, but on the other side of this is my calendar, my whole year calendar. And I've got all my run rest cycles up there.
I believe it. Yep.
Okay. And so it's like, I'm making my calls. I love my handwritten notes. That's one thing that just never has gone out of style. And I feel like we're doing all of these, how do I satisfy the algorithm type of things. And I just love this connection, even though we aren't belly to belly right now, we're face to face.
Right.
Right. And so we at least get to have that connectivity. And I know during COVID, I'm also Santa. And
I told her, I said, I'm pretty sure this is the guy that Austin was back in around the holidays. He was like asking you about what gigs you got. And I'm like, I think that we're getting Santa Claus on the show.
That's so funny. I was like, I guess you're probably right. Like, I don't know anyone else with his beard. So it's gotta be him.
So during COVID, I was sending out customized Santa messages to my clients' kids.
Dude,
that's so cute.
That's incredible.
Which was super fun, And so circling back to your question, it's this adaptability to stay connected. Mm-hmm. Because forget about the business side of it, right? I'm all about, Zig Ziglar always said, and there may have been somebody that even made it, different. Is people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so showing people, right? Yes, I know all these things about houses, but more importantly, I care. I truly care about your success and what I can do to impact your story. I'll kind of wrap with this. I believe the best marketing book ever written was To Build a Story Brand, Build Your Story Brand, Donald Miller. And it's this interesting concept. And it goes back to sort of this ego versus eco mentality. But he says that every message has to be exactly the same. And it follows all these different, every movie that's ever been made that's successful follows the same script. There's a character that has a problem that meets a guide who gives them a plan and calls them to action for that plan. And because of that, they avoid failure and achieve success. And
Wow.
so it's this concept of, this sort of maturation in the way that we process through, whatever challenge we're seeking.
Yeah.
And so I've tried to hold true to that in my decade in the business, we talked about this earlier, just be authentic, just be yourself.
I love it.
And now more than ever, I feel like eliminating all the noise and just getting back to the basics
Yes.
is the way that we're all going to be, successful. Is let's increase human connection. Let's, make a concerted effort to, love each other and to invest in other people's success, because when you do that, your success is guaranteed.
Oh, yeah.
So that's
I swear.
that's the biggest lesson I've learned in a decade.
Yeah.
Right, is to just come back to center and don't let things get too complicated.
Yeah.
Because in our industry, especially, you can get this shiny object syndrome.
Oh my God.
And it's like, you know what? Let's just keep those handwritten thanks.
Right.
Thank you cards going. Let them come from the heart, and the rest will fall in place.
100% agree.
I was going to say it's simple, not easy,
Right.
right?
I swear that
That's
is so
great.
true.
I really loved your answer. I mean, we could sit here all day and talk. I know we're going to go a couple minutes over, but I don't want to keep you for too long. I know you've got other places to be. But I do want to ask you something fun, and that is, what is the boldest move you've ever made?
Yeah. Hey, we talked a little bit about it. It was that move to real estate. That day I sat there in that chair, and I said, you know what? I've got my company car. I've got my expense account. I've got my salary, and I'm hitting the eject button on all of it, and I'm going all in.
I love
And
that.
we talked about it. Thank God and thank my wife, because, here I am today, right? One of the top producing agents in the country. And I'm so grateful, so thankful, so blessed that I made that bold move one day and put my stuff in a box and walked right out the door.
Amen.
Dude, what
I love
an incredible
this.
story.
Yeah.
This has been so much fun sitting with you and getting to know you.
You're a super cool dude, Cory. I'll give you that. This has been awesome.
Yeah.
I swear. This has been so fun.
We should, pluck some people out of Cheviron Coaching for this now.
Maybe
I feel
we
like,
will.
because you know what I also think? I think that everybody, I will. Maybe if not all, most of us are very like-minded, and we all kind of vibe the same vibe. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's all very authentic. And I think that stems from who Austin is. I mean,
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, because he is such a genuine person, and
Yes.
what's the saying? Your vibe attracts your tribe.
Yep.
Like, that is just so real.
Yeah. And we all have the same
real.
like work-life balance mindset, like staying, like you were saying, centered, leading with your heart and all of these things. And I feel like, a lot of different coaching programs out there and coaches and whatever, like everyone has their own style, but it's like, we realize like that's how we aligned. And I love that you said that and brought that up, because like it brings us all together in their Cheviron community and all that stuff. And I'm like, I don't think that we've taken so much advantage of that community part yet. Like we meet for the hour, we chit chat, banter, yada yada, and then it's over until next week, right? So I think this has been a really cool, like, full circle moment for
Yeah.
all of that.
Even though you're just trying to avoid your beets and goat cheese.
Yeah, we'll take it.
No,
Well, I want to do round 2.0 where I get to ask the questions of y'all. So
I
I
love
want to
it.
learn more about y'all's story. So
I
maybe
love
you start
this.
a podcast, Cory.
We'll definitely run it back
Yeah.
one of these days for sure. That
100%.
sounds like a lot of fun.
And I would love to do a holiday session with you in
Oh my gosh, fun.
in December. Maybe
I'm making a note of that.
count on it.
you get your Santa suit on and we'll be the elves.
Yeah, you've got my commitment. That's a done deal.
That's awesome.
So pencil us in. I know you said you're booked out, but we'll get you going for part 2 or 3 at the end of the year.
We'll have our
I'll make the time for it.
Awesome.
So fun.
All right.
I love this. Well,
any final thoughts? Are you feeling good?
It's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun. So long for now.
Thank you so much for being here with us. This has been really fun.
Yes. If anyone wants to connect with you, how can they find you?
Well, all over the internets, of course. The real Cory Williams on Instagram. You can pick up the phone and call me. I don't answer unless I have your number saved, but I will return the call, 720-971-1863. Always happy. You can drop me an email at Cory@CoryandCompany.com. And no, there's no E in Cory, for God's sakes. So yeah, it's not too hard to find the beard. Or come on out here. We'll put you up. Enjoy some time in Colorado. So.
Yeah,
My wife's the hostess with the mostest. So
awesome. Well, if I'm ever out in Colorado, I know who I'm calling.
Yeah, same.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for being here with us on Bold Moves. This was episode 19, I believe. But it was so much fun talking to you and getting to know you. I can't wait to see you next week and talk about this on Cheviron Live because you know it's going to happen.
It's rest week.
Okay. I was going to be the one that jumped on like he was talking about. Okay, we're not going to.
He put it out there. That's why.
We're going to pretend I didn't say that.
We'll see you soon, though.
In 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks, we'll have so much fun talking about this. But thank you all for listening. Thank you all for being here. We'll see you on the next show. This is Bold Moves on the Property Sisters Network. Thank you so much again for being here, Cory. We loved having you. It was awesome. And until next time.
Until next time.
All right.
See ya.
Yeah.